What happened behind the podium? Jin BTS breaks down as RM speaks at the APEC summit. The moment RM stepped onto the APEC summit stage, the atmosphere changed. It wasn't a politician, diplomat, or CEO who now stood before global leaders. It was an artist, a thinker, and a representative of a generation that had reshaped global culture. His calm composure contrasted sharply with the weight of his message. Yet what caught the public's attention most was not merely his words, it was what happened behind the scenes. kimSeokpin, better known as Jin of BTS, was seen backstage, his eyes glistening as he struggled to hold back tears. What truly unfolded behind that podium, and why did Jin's emotional reaction strike such a chord with millions watching around the world? RM's speech at the cultural session of the APEC summit was titled "The Power of Culture in a Divided World." From his first sentence, he captured the hall's attention, speaking not only as a musician, but as a cultural diplomat. Culture, he said, is not just entertainment, it's a dialogue, a bridge between hearts. Every word carried a sense of conviction. But while the audience in the room was mesmerized, Jin's quiet reaction backstage became a moment that defined the emotional depth of BTS's journey. Why was Jin, usually composed and lighthearted, so visibly shaken? Observers say it wasn't sadness that brought Jin to tears, but an overwhelming surge of pride. He had known RM since their earliest days, the days of uncertainty, exhaustion, and unrelenting ambition. Seeing his brother in arms now stand before world leaders, speaking of the transformative force of music and youth, felt like witnessing a dream fulfilled on behalf of all 7 members. Still, the emotional undercurrent of that moment makes us wonder, was this only about pride, or did it also carry a deeper message about the changing identity of BTS and their place in global diplomacy as RM's speech unfolded? He spoke about how Korean culture had evolved from being regional entertainment into a universal language. He referenced the influence of dramas, fashion, and music, but more importantly, he spoke about authenticity, about how art, when rooted in truth, transcends boundaries. "We never set out to conquer the world," RM said. "We set out to tell our story, and the world decided to listen." Backstage, Jin's tears began to flow. It was not just RM speaking, it was the collective voice of 7 individuals who had carried the name BTS from tiny rehearsal rooms to the halls of international diplomacy. This leads us to ask, how did BTS arrive at this moment where their words shape political discourse? Is it possible that a pop group can influence cultural policy more than traditional diplomats? Or is this precisely the new face of soft power in the 21st century, where art becomes the bridge that politics often fails to build? These questions, perhaps, explain why the image of Jin's tears resonated so strongly with both fans and non-fans alike. The emotional connection between Jin and RM is emblematic of something larger, a reminder that behind the global phenomenon, there are still human stories of struggle, brotherhood, and hope. When RM mentioned the sleepless nights and sacrifices BTS endured, Jin was transported back to those early years. To the times when they doubted themselves, when criticism was harsh, when their future was uncertain. His tears then were not just for RM's success, but for the survival of their shared dream. But here lies another question. Was Jin crying because of what they had achieved, or because of what they had lost along the way? Social media exploded within minutes of the broadcast. Clips of Jin's emotional reaction spread across Twitter and TikTok under the hashtag #JinAtAPEC, with fans expressing admiration for the group's unity. Yet not everyone accepted the moment at face value. Some skeptics questioned whether the scene had been intentionally staged to evoke emotion and reinforce BTS's image as cultural ambassadors. Could this have been part of a broader strategy by hybe, their agency, to strengthen BTS's diplomatic brand? Or was this, as many believe, a raw and unfiltered moment of human emotion in today's media landscape, where every second is analyzed, every tear scrutinized? Such doubts are inevitable. That's why this moment calls for reflection. Are we, as audiences, becoming too cynical to believe in sincerity? Or are we simply more aware of how media narratives are constructed? Whether Jin's tears were spontaneous or symbolically powerful, they carried an undeniable truth. that art and authenticity still have the power to move the world. By the time RM concluded his speech with the words, "Let us build bridges, not walls. Let us remember that culture is our shared heartbeat," the entire hall erupted in applause. Jin, still backstage, wiped his tears and whispered softly, "He did it." But perhaps what he truly meant was, "We did it." That subtle difference between he and we captures the essence of BTS's story. It is not just about individual triumphs, but about a collective journey defined by faith, resilience, and unity. Yet the question remains, how real was this moment? Was it a genuine outpouring of brotherly pride, or part of a carefully curated cultural narrative designed to position BTS as Korea's most powerful diplomatic symbol? Should audiences accept such emotional displays at face value, or should we question the motives behind them? We invite readers to reflect. Do you believe what happened behind that podium was a moment of truth or a masterpiece of media orchestration? Could both be true at once? In the end, whether Jin's tears were spontaneous or symbolic may not matter as much as what they represent, a moment when emotion transcended the boundaries of fame and politics, reminding the world that even global icons are human. The story of that single tear, shed quietly behind the podium, might just be one of the most powerful cultural statements of our time. What happened behind the podium? Jin BTS breaks down as RM speaks at the APEC summit. Critical reflection and unanswered questions the image of Jin BTS quietly shedding tears backstage while RM stood before world leaders at the APEC summit is one that continues to circulate across digital platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, and countless fan forums. But as the clip spreads like wildfire, one question demands to be asked. Did this moment truly happen, or are we witnessing the perfect storm of media illusion, fandom emotion, and digital manipulation? Every frame, every angle of that supposed backstage moment has been dissected by fans and analysts alike. Some claim the lighting and camera work clearly match that of official summit footage, while others argue it's an expertly edited composite, crafted to evoke emotion and virality. But if this was indeed real, what made Jin's tears flow? Was it pride, nostalgia, or the overwhelming gravity of seeing his bandmate, once a fellow trainee, now stand as a global cultural ambassador before the world's most powerful figures? And yet, beyond the emotional allure, we must ask ourselves, is this story designed to inform or to influence? In today's digital landscape, stories like this often blur the line between truth and performance. Media outlets, fan accounts, and